Good evening. Tonight, I will be reading off a new story that I have been developing over the past year or so. And this is a horror slash ghost story that I hope you all will enjoy. I will forewarn you guys that this reading and all future episodes will be intended for mature audiences, and this will be strictly uploaded to YouTube. And maybe in the future, I will be able to publish this in a novel format for everyone to follow along for all my future audiences. Also, as a precaution, the events, characters, and locations featured in this story are entirely fictional. I would also advise that anyone listening to these episodes slash readings to wear headphones for a better experience. Without further ado, this is my new horror tale, You've Brought Evil Home. Day 1. It was midnight. The wind was blowing at a steady pace, moving the tree branches in a melodic manner. The sounds of crickets echoed across the night sky, and the unsettling feeling of wandering inside the abandoned house on Melancholy Hill hit me like a sucker punch. It was around this time when me and some close friends decided to do some ghost hunting. Well, it was actually my idea. The house that lay on Melancholy Hill was owned by my late grandfather, Jensen Lowe. He was a farmer that owned a ton of land here in Wilbur, Texas, very close to Melancholy Hill. And although he was a hardworking man, my mother told me that I was never allowed to see him growing up. Despite some of the positive descriptions she would detail on occasion, my grandfather also had mental health problems, which were further crippled by alcoholism. Unfortunately for my mother, she had been abused by him, and after he passed away, my mother had allegedly done something that strained her relationships with the rest of our family. And that's why I wanted to go ghost hunting at the old house he used to live in. Hours earlier, I went through old articles online about a rumor that my grandfather's place had been cursed. I also found out that me and my friends weren't the only people that had visited the house. The experiences had been documented on either YouTube, Reddit, or on social media. All of them stated that they were scared away by the spirit of my grandfather. Even worse, some of them were reported to be traumatized and have experienced eerie hallucinations at night within their own homes. When I had asked my mother about this, I'll never forget what she told me. Some secrets were never meant to be revealed, Rory, but when the time is right, we can talk about it. Stay away from that house. Ignoring the latter part of her answer, I wanted to solve the big mystery of my grandfather's old house. My friends who joined me on this ghost hunt were Liz and her boyfriend Carter, both spirit mediums, and my other friends Harry and Will. The four of them were all experienced in ghost hunting, and they dealt with both good and bad spirits. They even helped some of the people around Wilbur get rid of the ghosts that had haunted their properties. When I had told them about my grandfather's house, Liz and the others seemed excited about it. We fast forward to now. Standing outside the property was giving me intense chills, like something was telling me to stay away from this place. As we were walking up to the gate, the chills I was feeling turned into me freezing in place. My friends turned around to see what my problem was. Harry walked up to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and asked if I was okay. I nodded my head, lying without having to express how I truly felt. He could tell that this was my first ghost hunt, and he didn't want anything bad to happen to me. Once we approached the front door, the creaking caught our attention. It sounded like the house would collapse on us. My breathing became heavy, yet it was stable for the most part. As Carter placed his hand on the doorknob, he turned it slowly, opening it. The creaking coming from the door was loud. The low howling of the wind could be heard inside the house as well due to most of the windows being shattered. The hairs on my neck stood up, fearing that what my mother had told me earlier was the advice that I should have taken. We hadn't set foot in the house, and I could tell that something was here. Something sinister. Stepping inside, the floor was squeaking beneath our feet. We all used the flashlights on our smartphones, observing anything out of the ordinary. While investigating, I came across many of the pictures and portraits on the walls, shelves, and cupboards. Some of these dated back to the 60s. My grandpa would have been in his 20s around this time. Liz and Carter had been investigating the kitchen, while Harry and Will were investigating the bedrooms. I came across the office that my grandfather once used. Entering this space, I felt an odd chill in the air, way colder than outside. I didn't know this, but sometimes when the air gets colder, it could be the sign that a spirit is in the area. Ignoring the cold, I checked out the drawers in the desk. There was a journal in one of the drawers. Grabbing it, I wiped out the dust that was on top of the cover. The cover read, "My Thoughts, Jensen Lowe." As I tried to turn the front cover of the journal, the air became even colder than usual. Odd enough, it was hard for me to open the journal, like someone put a 35-pound weight plate on top of it. What the hell was going on? I called out to my friends about the discovery I made. As soon as I called out to them, I felt something put enough force on my hands to drop the book. The loud thud rang out throughout the room, causing my friends to rush over in a frantic manner. They saw me standing in the middle of the room, shaking. Harry pulled me aside so he could get me to calm down a bit. The others grabbed the journal and tried to get it open. Liz was able to open it without any problems. She and the others let out loud gasps. Me and Harry went back into the office to see what happened. When they heard us walk in, Liz showed me the first page of the journal. It read, "Do not read." The phrase was repeated all over the first page, all written in bright red, like it was written in blood. Becoming fearful, I didn't dare move to try and pick up the journal. Without hesitation, Liz picked it up and put it in her parcel. She then said, "We need to check out the rest of the house." As much as I didn't want to, I was just like her and the others, very curious about what secrets my mother didn't want me to find out. Because we had finished exploring the first floor, we walked towards the stairs that led upstairs. Following my friends, I could feel a slight, upsetting feeling in my stomach, like someone had poked me with several needles. Whatever was on the first floor wasn't going to be as creepier than the second floor. When we reached the second floor, all of us began to shake from the cold air that hit us like a fan at full speed. With eyes wide open, we slowly walked together in the long hallway. With several doors at our disposal, I held onto the doorknob closest to me. Without even thinking, I opened the door wide open. My friends turned around, spooked by the loud sound of the door hitting the wall. The room that I had opened welcomed me with floating dust. Using my flashlight for my smartphone, the room was revealed to be a small bedroom. The thing that stood out the most were the red walls within the bedroom. From what we had seen so far, the majority of the house had the walls painted white. Inside the same room that I opened the door to, there were small cupboards, a broken mirror, and photos of small children that appeared to look like little girls. We had to step inside the room, and Liz gasped out loud. When Carter asked his girlfriend what was wrong, she quietly said, "There's something inside." Her response made all of us stand up straight in fear. She stepped in first, followed by Carter, and then me, Harry, and Will. Because we didn't know what to expect here, we carefully walked around, trying to find some clues that were related to the journal. Investigating the small dresser near the door, I looked at the photos of the little girls. All of them didn't have any smiles on their faces. They all bore blank-faced stares. To my shock, I recognized one of the little girls. All of a sudden, a loud bang came from behind me. We all turned around to look towards the closet. What was dropped inside? Was there someone hiding in here? Will made a joke saying that I should open the closet door since this was my first ghost hunt. I told him no, and that he should open it. Liz, Carter, and Harry stood by Will, stating that I should open the door. In a sense, they were right because I wanted to solve the mystery surrounding the rumors. Yet, my instincts were telling me that I shouldn't listen. Harry suggested that he would open it so I didn't have to. As he got in front of the closet door, all of us froze in place, awaiting whatever could be inside the small space. As Harry gripped the doorknob, he couldn't find the nerve to open it. He was feeling uneasy, acting like he was going to throw up. I walked over to him and told him that we could open the closet door together. With both of our hands on the doorknob, we turned it. Opening it slowly, the closet revealed an empty space with cracks on the walls. Dust had been collected on the pole to put shirt hangers on and on the top shelf. At that point, we all realized that the presence that Liz felt was moving. We were dealing with an actual spirit. Because of the reality of it, I had turned around and headed towards the hallway. Before I could walk out, I saw a shadow on the wall outside moving to the left. I stopped in my tracks and backed into Will. He got scared and then upset, asking me why I bumped into him. I told my friends about the shadow outside. We proceeded to exit the bedroom to follow where the shadow was heading. At that point, Liz suggested that we split up again to cover more ground. However, it was way different. Instead of two groups, we each had to cover a room. I didn't want to comply, but it felt like we were getting closer to getting an answer to the rumors about this house. I was ordered to go to the room near the end of the hallway. Just like the walls in the child's bedroom, the door in front of me was red, a sinister sign of something dangerous behind this door. The door was slightly open as well, indicating that the spirit could be inside. Slowly pushing the door, it was creaking loudly, slowly revealing another bedroom. Unlike the child's bedroom, it was bigger. It was a master bedroom. A king-size bed covered by red tapestry sat near the back wall. To the left of it was a large dresser drawer. To the right were large red cushion chairs near the broken window that welcomed the howling wind from outside. My breathing became heavy and filled with fear. Something about the master bedroom was way off, and I mean way, way off. Like something was waiting for me ever since me and my friends arrived here. Stepping into the bedroom, I carefully looked around for anything out of the ordinary. There was nothing that I could find, yet I still had the feeling that there was a clue that needed to be revealed. Fighting my fear, I was determined to figure out what my mother didn't want me to find out. Seeing that the only place left to check was the bathroom, I walked towards it. The loud bang that we heard earlier now sounded like a gunshot going off, scaring me and causing me to back off immediately. I heard my friends calling out my name as I just stood in fear. I was grabbing my smartphone so hard that I was shaking, waving the flashlight uncontrollably. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Turning around quickly, I saw my friends out by the entrance. I told them that something's in the bathroom. As they entered, Carter felt something crawl up his arm, causing him to hit his arm hard. Liz asked what was wrong, and he said, "The spirit's here. It doesn't want us to be here." Will got scared and suggested that we should head out. Liz, on the other hand, was adamant about the situation and said that we still needed to find answers. I told her that Will was right and that we needed to leave this house. She told me that I wanted answers as much as the rest of us. While looking around the room, she went through her parcel and took out salt, a crucifix, a Bible, holy water, and incense for everyone. As she handed me the incense, I asked her what we were dealing with. All she said was, "It's something of a greater power." After hearing that, all I wanted to do was leave. I knew that I should have taken my mother's advice. Once Liz finished getting everything prepped, it was clear that the ghost hunt was getting intense. She then told me to go with Carter into the bathroom where I heard the loud bang. Because I was being hesitant,
Carter urged me to keep going, saying that he and my friends would keep me safe. Inside the bathroom, the mirror was shattered, the toilet was filled with dirty water, and the bathtub was covered in dust and mold. The cold air that we had felt earlier had come back like a sudden wind chill during the winter. Carter called out to Liz to come inside the bathroom. When she entered, she felt the cold air filling the room. She then told me and Carter to watch her back. She pulled out a UV light to look for any fingerprints or footprints. Within a few seconds, the evidence she was trying to find was on the small mirror that had a little handle on it. As soon as the fingerprints appeared, I became scared. The bedroom door outside slammed shut as well, frightening Harry and Will. Harry said that we were locked out. We were now in a dangerous situation. I kept telling myself in my head that I should turn back on doing this. From out of nowhere, loud footsteps could be heard near the bed. Will freaked out, saying, "There's something on the bed." Exiting the bedroom, my flashlight revealed a large shadow sitting on the king-size bed. We all gasped, and I began to shake in fear. Liz, trying to remain calm about the situation, quietly told the spirit that we meant no harm and did not mean to disturb its peace. The area became even colder, almost as if we walked inside an igloo. Whatever this spirit was, I slowly found myself tiptoeing over towards the bedroom door. Carter grabbed my arm and whispered at me to stay put so that way I wouldn't scare the spirit. While Liz was trying to keep the peace, she set the journal that I found in the downstairs office onto the floor in front of the bed. She also put down a pen onto the first page. She wanted to see if the spirit would write something down. A sudden low gasp came from the curtains that surrounded the bed. We all shuddered in silence, waiting to see what the spirit would do. The tapestry slowly opened, and the spirit began to come out. I suddenly began to feel like my head was going to split open. Even worse, I felt blood dripping from my nose. Carter grabbed his handkerchief from his pocket and gave it to me. As I was covering my bloody nostril, we witnessed the spirit writing something down. It wrote, daughter. Daughter? Was the spirit looking for his daughter? After writing the first response, the spirit picked the pen back up again and began to write in the journal. This time, it was flipping through several pages after writing each response. Some of the words included regret, cursed, sisters, malevolence. The spirit finally stopped writing in the journal. Closing it, the door to the bedroom suddenly opened at a slow rate. With all of us trying to process what the hell was going on, we all came back to reality when things started to move out of their spots, and the doors outside and the hallway kept opening and closing. The spirit suddenly let out a loud gasp and flew back behind the curtains. Our flashlight started flickering on and off without stopping. After a minute, everything stopped working. Besides the wind coming from outside, there was an eerie silence. We all looked at each other and whispered that we needed to get out of this house. As we slowly walked towards the bedroom door, the door itself slammed shut. The curtains from the bed opened, followed by a gust of wind behind us. In the blink of an eye, a ghostly woman in black revealed its decrepit face, got in front of me, and screamed at the top of its lungs. The jump scare caused me to scream and faint from shock. The last thing that I had heard were my friends screaming and trying to scare away the woman. The next thing that happened was me waking up to the sound of something bumping into me from underneath. I freaked out and I realized I was laying in bed. Under the covers, as if someone had tucked me in tightly. Hopping out of bed, I looked over at the curtains and saw that the sunlight was peeking from behind. I also looked at my phone, which had been put on my charger, and saw the time. 8 in the morning, and it was Saturday. What the hell happened when I was knocked out? Suddenly, the flashback of the woman in black came to me, freaking me out in my conscious state. It was almost as if she was reappearing in my dimly lit room. I turned on the lights in my bedroom to remove myself from the dark. Making my way to the bathroom, I took a shower and brushed my teeth. 10 minutes later, I was getting ready for the day, and when I finished, headed downstairs to make breakfast. While I was making some eggs, my mother came out from the archway of the kitchen. She had scared me when she had called out my name while appearing to my right. I knew that I was in deep trouble. I assumed that my mother, being the strict and religious woman that she was, talked down on my friends and blamed them for putting me in danger. And I was correct. She then began to scold me about visiting Grandpa's old house. Trying to be a man about it, I questioned her about what happened at that house. She refused to answer and tried to go around my questions. I persisted, angering her. Finally, she gave in, but not in the way that I expected. She stated that Grandpa believed in a dark, mysterious power that had caused him to hear voices and struggle with his inner demon. I assumed that she was referring to a mental health issue and his alcoholism that I already heard about. Still, it didn't sound right. But then, I remembered the picture of the little girl that was surrounded by what looked like her sisters. Because my mother was talking over me to show her assertiveness, I asked her about having siblings. She suddenly stopped talking. The look on her face changed from angry to complete shock. Almost as if she had seen the woman in black that had scared me into an unconscious state. Without hesitation, she walked up to me, right up to my face. She said in a quiet, somewhat dark tone, "Don't ever go back to the house ever again. Don't ever bring up anything about my father or my family either. You're bringing evil into our home. I will not allow that to happen." My mother slowly backed away, turning around and walking in a slow, scary manner. All I could do was feel panic trembling throughout my body. What came out from her mouth didn't sound like my mother, based on my hearing at least. It was something sinister, like a threat against my life. The hunger I felt was gone, and I decided to not eat the breakfast I made myself. Instead, I put the eggs in a Tupperware, put them in the fridge, and slowly made my way back to my room. While I was walking back to my room, I didn't notice my mother had been stalking me from the hallway where the lights hadn't been turned on. However, I felt that eerie presence when I had closed my bedroom door. Like a spirit was touching my shoulders, making my body temperature drop. Locking the bedroom door in a frantic manner, I grabbed my phone and messaged my friends about what my mother told me. Liz was the first to respond back. She wrote, "Rory, I'm sorry." I responded and asked her what she was sorry for. In an instant, she sent me an image with a caption. To my shock and horror, it was a picture of the woman in black standing right behind my mother. Liz wrote in the caption, "Something evil follow you home. You need to leave your house."